Hello everyone and welcome back. I'm not sure what the weather is like where you live, but where we live it is cooled off today. It's by no means winter time, but it's fall. It feels like fall out there. All the leaves are falling off the trees and there's a heavy fog in the morning. So today I thought I would make a soup for dinner and that I would share that soup with you. This is probably a soup that you have all the ingredients for in your pantry. And if you don't today, you may just need to pick up a can or two of items to make it happen another time. This is a really good pantry meal. So I am going to get right into it, and today we're going to make 9-can soup. It makes enough for lots of leftovers or a family event, so be prepared to have food for days. Anyway, I will be back here shortly with all the ingredients you need to get this recipe started. I think I have everything that I need here. Now, this is just one version. There's many versions, and maybe as I go along I'll share, or at the end I'll share a couple of other ones with you. And I will definitely leave recipes below for a couple of other versions of canned soup. So I have here a can of corn, a can of enchilada sauce, a can of fire roasted tomatoes, a can of a can of black beans, a can of white kidney beans or cannelloni beans, I think some people call them, some chicken broth, some mild finely chopped tomatoes and green chilies, so rotel, a small container of nacho sliced jalapenos, and some flakes of chicken. This is one of the things you could leave out, but I'm going to add that today. And then I have a few spices in here. I have a half a teaspoon of garlic powder, a teaspoon of cumin, and a package of taco seasoning. And I won't make you watch me open all these cans, but I'll be right back when I've got everything prepared to go. So I've got everything opened up here, and I'm going to just start dumping the ingredients in. This is the can of corn, which has been drained. This is the enchilada sauce. My goodness, I can smell everything already. It smells really good. This is a can of fire roasted tomatoes that are diced. It just adds another depth of flavor having that fire roast in there. Now goes in the black beans, the white kidney beans or cannelloni beans, a can of rotel, a can of the jalapenos. Now you could leave these out if you don't like a spicy soup. I'm going to next add the chicken, but I'm going to cut it up a little bit, just flake it up. Now this you could totally leave out, or there's so many things you could do in here. You could brown some hamburger and put it in here if you chose to do that. I'm trying to keep this dish very pantry-like, so all the things that you could find shelf-stable in your pantry if, well, most of us live in towns or cities now, so it's not hard to get to the grocery store, but if you're trying to build a pantry for lean times or uncertain times ahead, then you want things to be a little more shelf-stable, and cans will do that for you. I'm going to add chicken broth. I'm going to put in 1 can of chicken broth. Now, I may add a little more later. Not entirely certain about that because it looks pretty good right now. We do tend to like our soups more stewy, but if you liked your soup to be more brothy, then you could certainly add either another can or depending on how you buy your chicken broth, you could just take it out of the paper carton. And now the spices are going in. This is a package of taco seasoning, 1 teaspoon of cumin, and 1/2 teaspoon of garlic. And I'm just going to get a spoon and stir that up. And this guy I am going to put into it. Well, it's already in my crock pot sleeve. I'm going to put it into the crock pot on low temperature, and I'm going to do that for 4 hours. It doesn't need to be that long. You could just put it on the stove and heat it through, and that would work as well. Once this is ready for serving, I am going to come back and show you how I finish it off. And in the meantime, I will definitely come back and I'll talk to you about different ways you could use canned food to make hearty soups that would feed your family. I'll be back in a few minutes. Now, as I promised, I'm back and I'm just going to talk to you a little bit briefly about different kinds of soups that you can make with shelf-stable food. In the one that I just made, the Southwest style, you could definitely use leftover chicken if you had it, but if you didn't and you had chicken flakes in your fridge, or sorry, in your pantry, you could use that so that you don't actually have to have any fresh produce or food going into this soup. And I think you'd be astounded at the results. So a couple of different soups. One of them we make the same way as this. It's a Southwest style soup, only I brown the hamburger at the beginning and I add a small onion chopped to it as well. And then I would leave out the can of chicken. So that's a different way that you can make a taco soup. But you can also make the soups just by adding cans of stuff together. So here's one that is quite good. I'm going to call this one just a straight up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 can soup. And it includes a can of tomatoes diced. They could be chili flavored, or they could be the fire roasted. A can of corn with the just a regular can of corn. In any of these things, try to get low sodium or no sodium, because canned foods can tend to be to the salty side anyway. And it's fantastic if you can get the ones that say on the ingredient list just the single ingredient, rather than having a whole bunch of other things in it. But particularly watch for sodium levels. I think that's the number one thing that you should be looking for, because it can get quite salty. This can of white kidney beans, because I couldn't get low sodium, white kidney beans, water, salt are the first 3 ingredients in a can. Anyway, I got off topic. So back to 7 can soup. A can of tomatoes that are diced and could have chili in them. A can of corn. A can of fire roasted tomatoes. A can of tomatoes diced with no salt. So you see this one's a little more tomatoey. A can of Bush's medium chili beans. A can of Bush's reduced sodium black beans. Now these don't have to be Bush's. In Canada we have Heinz, and those would be fine as well. And then 1 can, I don't have a can here right now, but a can of mixed vegetables. And as undesirable as that seems, it's really good when you put it all together. So that's a 7 can soup. And the same process, you put it all into the pot or into a slow cooker if you're planning to do it for end of day. You can see how quick and easy that was. And then there are others as well. Like I've looked up some pretty fantastic ones. There is a 7-can soup that kind of has more ingredients. It's more like something you've made from scratch, but you've used all sorts of cans in it. So this 7-can soup, and I will link to the video that I got this recipe from. This one has peas, corn, carrots, diced tomatoes, a can of potatoes, a can of green beans, and a can of beef broth. And all of the vegetables are drained. Then once you've got all your cans in, they add 64 ounces of vegetable juice, or V8, a tablespoon of basil, 1.5 teaspoons of garlic salt, a half a teaspoon of black pepper, and then they add 2 pounds of browned ground beef, a small onion, and they put that all into a crock pot, and they cook it for 6 hours on low. So that's the different varieties you can use, and that should just get your gears turning, because you can definitely put in things that you like and exclude the things you don't. And I've got the I've got dinner in the crock pot, and it took me, what, 5 minutes to, well, it took me a little more than that, because you got to root around in the pantry and get all the cans out that you need. And in my case, I didn't have a couple of things. I didn't have the jalapenos, and I didn't have the enchilada sauce. So I had to go to the store for those, but I don't think that counts. I will certainly have them in the cupboard in the pantry shortly, because I'm trying to get ahead on my pantry a little bit. And I'm not a big fan of going anywhere in the wintertime, so I'm just trying to get my pantry stocked up so I don't have to make so many trips out. But whatever the reason you might do it, this is a really good recipe, and it will feed a family. I think I'm also going to throw on bread, and so we will have fresh bread with a bowl of soup for dinner, and I'll show you what that looks like when we come back. Well, here it is, this Southwest 9-can soup, and it has been slow cooking now since around 1. It's about 5 o'clock, and it just smells fantastic in here. I'm going to add a bit of shredded cheese to the top of this. This is just, a bag of shredded. Of course, if you had a block, that would be more of an ideal way of doing it, because the cheese isn't coated with a substance to stop it from sticking together, so it melts better. And then some sour cream. I'm going to put a good dollop of sour cream on the top in the middle. And you could add to this a bit of cilantro and a bit of lime juice if you chose to. And this is what it looks like. I hope we're not getting too much glare there. But that is a delightful bowl of soup. My rolls are still rising, so I will be having those later, I guess. But this on its own is just fine. So I hope that you have enjoyed today's video, and that if you have, that you will like it, share it with your friends. And if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to the channel. That would be fantastic. And until next time, folks, I will see you soon. Bye-bye.